So just a friendly reminder as we go through the proceedings here today, if you'd please keep your phones muted so we don't hear little dogs barking in the background.
I just got in trouble with the dog barking.
I didn't get in trouble. Just a friendly reminder, just to make sure your phone is muted while your case is not being discussed.
My old neighbor. Come on, say out.
So Heather, could you go ahead and mute your phone, please? Okay. All right. Thanks. I appreciate that. What I'd like to do is go ahead and just call the cases. I try to try to go to those cases in which will take shorter time, take those first, and those that are more involved will take additional time or longer periods of time to take those near the end. There's an indication on the Zoom chat. There is here for presentation setting over any argument for 1 week by agreement on Guardianship of Birch. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for information related to cases that will take it's indicated it'll probably be a short period of time. So let's just go ahead and call that one now. I show that Ms. Day is present as the guardian ad litem. Ms. Winkles is present as counsel for the minor, I believe, Dalen. And then
that's correct.
Great, thank you. And Mr. Esau is present representing, I read your name, but I didn't put a notation of the connection. So if you could remind me of that connection.
Mr. David Birch is my client, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And is Mr. Birch here today on the line with us? Just want to recognize him if he is.
I just spoke with him on the phone and I assumed he was, or he told me he was. So I'm not sure. I don't see him. So.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. And let's see. And so it looks like there was a proposed order that was submitted by Ms. Winkles on an order on emergency guardianship and also a restraining order related to that. So let me ask if Norlene Moxley is present. Norlene Moxley, are you here? If you are, please unmute, state your name. Okay, no response heard. And Kristen Kearney is present. Ms. Kearney, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, so Ms. Winkles, you submitted that proposed order. Ms. Day, do you have any objection to that? Mr. Esau, do you have any objection to that?
I don't have any objection to setting it over for a week. I did want to note that I don't see any sealed documents that would have included the required UA testing that needed to be done. So I don't know where we're at with that, if that's going to also be set over.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Esau?
I don't have any objection to the entry except for one typo, which I've notified Ms. Winkles about. And other than that, we can enter that order today if the court wishes to do so. I'm not sure if the set over is for other things like the drug testing issue or what. So, but yeah, I have no objection to the order.
So, Ms. Day, was that your principal motivation for setting it over was to get information related to the SUD testing?
Well, I agreed because there was some talk that there may be an agreement coming, but father was ordered to do a UA within 5 days of the last hearing, which should have been received by the 27th or the 28th of June. That has not been accomplished that I can see. It hasn't been provided or filed. So I just wanted to make the court aware of that. I don't object to the set over, but that has not happened.
And does that have bearing on the proposed order?
It was supposed to be contingent upon visitation with the child.
And Your Honor, if I may, the proposed order has the order in it for the drug testing for all the parties essentially. And my understanding is none of it's been done. The reason I requested a set over is purely because my client, being 12 years old, it's hard to get a hold of her. She's in Vancouver. And so for the next hearing, which was a review, I asked to set it over with the understanding that everybody was still going to get drug tested. I'm hoping that's entered by next week. That's my hope. However, the restraining order and the order should be entered. And that way there's no confusion that everybody needs to go get a UA done. And that's what I'm requesting, is that everybody go as if the oral order is valid, and that we just enter the orders today and that they file them as they were ordered to do in the last hearing.
And Ms. Winkles, your proposed order is talking about drug testing via UA. on the following individuals: Kristen Kearney, David Birch, and also the child.
That's
Those.
So, this is Kristen Kearney. Me and David were both supposed to take UAs. No one has reached out to us where to go to do that.
That's consistent with what my client says too, Your Honor.
Yeah, nobody has reached out.
And you can go to any drug testing facility.
Usually I send somewhere and you like go, hey, we need you to go here.
I called places and they said that it had to be this person had to call them. It was the DSHS office. And they said that even if I got a UA, that it wouldn't be valid through the court if it wasn't through you guys.
Same.
And Your Honor, if I can just state performance, occupational health, and Longview. I'm not sure if that will work. They're the cheapest in the area that I know. You can do same day walk-in. The UAs are inexpensive in comparison to everywhere else.
What's it called?
Performance occupational health.
And that's consistent with my understanding, and Performance Occupational Health will send the results directly to me to be filed so that there's no chance of tampering with the written result.
Okay. So does that help, Ms. Kearney?
Yeah, just because me and Mr. Birch were both wondering. And yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't talked to David like recently, but yeah, we were working towards coming to some sort of like agreement or whatever with the guardianship.
Okay. And Mr. Birch, does that help you to know where you can get that test done?
A little bit. Is that here in Longview?
It is, apparently. Yes.
Your Honor, I will email Mr. Birch with the information, the phone number, and the address today.
Okay. My email has changed. I got a different email. My phone got broke over the weekend.
Okay. Can I still the same phone number? I can give you a call when we're done here.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I'll do.
And Kristen, you would need to take Daylin, both of you go and get those tests done immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. Would Monday be a good day? Well, Daylin already has a UA scheduled. So is she needing to do 2 UAs? Because
she's doing one at my office, so that's why I need to still bring her to the office.
Okay. So looking at the proposed order, the order, in relevant part under paragraph 19, it says that the parties are to submit to a 12-panel test within 5 days from the date of this hearing. And is the hearing? I'm just looking to see if the order references a specific date in which the hearing was held.
The hearing was June 22nd.
Right.
It should be on the front page. The front page of that order has the date that the emergency minor guardian was appointed, and that should have been the date of the hearing itself.
The June 22nd date. Okay. Well, as far as setting it over, I'm not sure if we need to do that, in that we will now have a signed order that says the parties are required to submit to basically a 12-panel test within 5 days of June 22nd, whereas before it was an oral ruling, and now it's been reduced to writing. So Ms. Day, I know that was your request, but as far as signing off on that order or any concerns related to that order on emergency minor guardian, do you have any objections to it other than your request for setting over?
The only request I would have is that there be a date certain that this be accomplished. It's now been almost a month. And so the validity of that test becomes suspect now that we are 3.5 weeks late in getting that accomplished. The verbal order of the court was to have it done within 5 days so that myself and Ms. Winkles and the court could be assured that the child was in safe care and that appropriate steps were being taken to keep her safe and provide for support with her father's visitation. And so here we are almost a month later, nobody's taken a UA and contact is occurring. And
I tried to take a UA multiple times.
Mr. Isa, any thoughts of when that can happen?
Well, it sounds like the performance occupational health place is pretty available. It could be done on a walk-in. I think we can certainly have it done 5 days from today, I would think. So if we have a date, if we need a date certain, we could do, today's the July 25th, I think. That's a Tuesday. Have it done by Tuesday, and then the reports will go directly to Ms. Day.
Okay. Ms. Kearney and Mr. Birch, can you get it done within 5 days?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Me and David, like he had said, we both tried because I went to the family health center and I tried to do the same thing. And the family health center told me exactly what there had to be something. So I'm glad that you guys had the occupational health. So yeah, it'll be done.
Thanks. So that'll be the court's order that's taken care of no later than 5 days. And then the restraining order that's proposed, does anybody have any objection to the restraining order?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I will sign off on both of those, both those orders with that kind of that notation as far as the 5 days of the test being accomplished. So I will sign off on both. Any additional items, Ms. Winkles?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Isai, any additional items?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Mr. Birch, Ms. Kearney, any final questions?
No.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, great. Thanks
No,
for
Your
joining us
Honor.
today. Appreciate everybody's assistance and help. Ms. Day, any final items on your end?
No, thank you, Your Honor. I'm good.
Great, thanks. So, Ms. Vandenberg, it sounds like you can hear us now, and
Yeah.
I could hear you coming through. So
Perfect. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened, but I just restarted and it worked. So thank you for your patience.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for making the pivot. All right, so join us. We still, Ms. Farr is present, and let me get back to my notes. All right, and so Ms. Farr was appointed as guardian ad litem recently, and this involves a case coming from Alaska and potential successor guardians. And okay, there I can see Ms. Vandenberg coming through clear with your photo. Appreciate that, or your camera. So, Ms. Farr, do you want to just lead out and just give a kind of just status update where we're at?
Yes, Your Honor. So initially there was a petition to change the guardianship to appoint successor guardians that was filed, but we didn't have the transfer completed yet. And so there was a new order put in place so that I could help them with that transfer. We have, there was a provisional order already signed by Alaska. And so I helped them get the petition to get the provisional acceptance, the order from our court. So, and Ms. Vandenberg brought the motion in and filed it yesterday and tried to get an order, or maybe it was the day before, but she tried to get an order to you to sign for that provisional acceptance. And the clerk, she said the clerk would not provide it to you. So I guess we need to set this over. And she said that I guess the clerk told her that that the petition had to be scanned in before we could get the order, which I don't know if that's procedurally correct or not, but regardless, we didn't get the order to you. So Ms. Vandenberg has the original order to be signed. She could drop it off to you ex parte if you would sign it that way.
Yes, thumbs up.
Perfect.
So would I just go to the
Perfect.
courthouse and ask them to give it to you, Judge?
Yeah, generally the way that works is you present yourself at the clerk's office and say, please provide this to Judge Evans via ex parte.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great. And so then that proposed order that Ms. Vandenberg will be dropping off today is the provisional acceptance order.
Correct. So then that goes back to Alaska for Alaska to then issue the permanent transfer. Then we have to have Washington accept the permanent transfer. Then we can go forward with the successor guardian. So it's a complicated process.
Yeah, Ms. Farr, I appreciate your assistance, and Ms. Vandenberg, thanks for your legwork in making all of that happen. Do you have any questions, Ms. Vandenberg? What kind of next
I don't, and Sherry has been wonderful, I have to tell you. I mean, there was not a lawyer in town that would take this case, and so I was doing it on my own. So having her be assigned was a gift, quite honestly. So I will make sure that I get the order over to the clerk's office and tell them exactly what you told me. I tried to tell them just to give, but they wouldn't give it to you because it was, they didn't have the other in. And so without that being in, there was no reason to give you the order.
Sure. Yeah. Appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Thanks for being willing to come back again today and drop that off. That's great. So, so then with that in place, assuming that that order is signed, dropped off today and signed, and that's put into place, then there's some interstate activity that needs to occur. And then once that's, do we just wait until that's completed before it's noted up, or do we set a date with kind of a perspective of having that completed and maybe making an estimate when that will be?
I think we should probably set another date, and we'll do the best we can to make sure that that date is met to get the next step finished. So I would say 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Ms. Vandenberg,
that would be my guess.
Okay. Ms. Vandenberg, does
the Guardian in Alaska, sorry, Your Honor, the Guardian in Alaska has been very cooperative through emails and phone calls and getting the, I guess the hang up would be how long it takes her to get the court in Alaska to sign the permanent order. So, but I still think we should keep this on track.
Okay.
I believe if we give her a deadline, that would help.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree. Having deadlines really does help all of us. So why don't we set this over to August 3rd? That may be pushing it a little bit, but the push may get it over to the finish line. So let's do that. We'll set it for August 3rd at 10:30. Hopefully all that can be signed and taken care of and can be wrapped up at that time. So thank you both for your assistance and help. Thank you. And I show that we have Brunswick is the 255 cause, which I think is the focus of today. And then Bradley Peters is here. Mr. Peters has been patiently waiting this morning. So Mr. Peters, can you hear me okay? Okay, I saw your mouth move and I think you said yes, Your Honor, and it was just muted at the time. So just make sure that you can unmute because we had some issues with somebody.
I'm here, Your Honor. Thank you.
Perfect, great, thank you. All right, and it looks like, is it Cateron? Is that how you pronounce your name, Cateron?
Cadron.
Cadron, thank you. Yeah, that's a great name. Thanks. Yeah. Okay, and then Ms. Farr is present, and then Shira Kroll. Is she on the line today?
I'm here. I got a background going on my thing that's distracting me.
That's okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay, and then
I'm just gonna stop the video. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so with that, with those introductions, there was an order of July 19th of this year that transferred the child to the care and custody of Bradley Peters, and noting him as the guardian. And Ms. Farr was discharged as a court visitor and reappointed as guardian ad litem. And I think we're on today, and the parties can correct me if I'm mistaken, that we're here on an order to show cause why Mr. Peters should not continue on as the guardian. I think that's why we're here. Ms. Farr?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor, that's correct. And then also to dismiss the 136 case.
Right. Okay. And the 136. Is there any objection to the dismissing of the what we call the 136 case? That's the yeah. So, Mr. Peters, do you have any concerns related to that?
I'm a little confused about the dismissal of guardianship.
Yeah. Ms. Farr, maybe you can just provide a little background on why you think that's appropriate.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. So initially, Ms. Cutbirth was appointed as the immediate under the immediate order as guardian. She's decided that she cannot go forward. Mr. Peters has filed a petition so that he can become the guardian, and service has been made on mother under Mr. Peters' filing. And so now we are looking at dismissing the first case under that was filed from Ms. Cutbirth, and then continuing on with the second case where we would be appointing Mr. Peters.
Thanks.
Okay. I understand.
Perfect. Good. Thank you, Ms. Farr, for that explanation. And also, the clerk just handed me a note that another judge had already dismissed that prior to our coming today, so that's already taken care of. So we're good there, and that may not have already hit the file.
Okay. I thought that we were doing that today, but could be wrong.
Yeah, looks like somebody got a jump start on that. So that the 136 is dismissed. So that takes care of that particular discussion. So thank you for that.
Okay.
And then we're on today for the related to whether Mr. Peters should continue on as the guardian. I'll hear from the parties related to that. Maybe Ms. Farr, if you'd like to lead out, I'll hear from you first, then Mr. Peters, and then from Ms. Kroll.
Okay, Your Honor. So, this is a matter where the child has been living with Mr. Peters for the better part of the last year, and mother is having some struggles. She has some drug addictions, homelessness, and there's currently a warrant for her arrest. And so the child is in Mr. Peters' care and should remain there while mother improves her situation. And so for that reason, the emergency guardianship should be entered and Mr. Peters appointed as the emergency guardian.
Okay.
This child has some special needs, some mental health issues, and needs immediate counseling and treatment. And Mr. Peters has been working with Miss Cutbirth. Miss Cutbirth and Mr. Peters are siblings. They've been working together to get this child the help that the child needs.
Okay, great.
And then also, just so you know too, because you're new on this one, that father is deceased.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Farr. Okay, thank you. Let me touch base with Ms. Kroll. Ms. Kroll, you've heard what Ms. Farr's position is. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on it are that I haven't been keeping close contact with Sherry. I have kind of hit a depression. Like, I feel like anything I do or say in court's been gone backwards. I'm having a problem making appointments and keeping them. I'm not having a problem with a drug addiction as far as like what they're thinking. I do smoke weed and drink every once in a while. I mean, it's like, I'm not doing good with this court thing at all. It's just gone on and on. Me and Brad's relationship was completely toxic. The thought of hearing him talk after I'm done talking, my heart's like literally racing. I've had a trauma response to all this. My son needs me. I haven't had a visit with him. We started court in April 7th. I got served. I think I had court. And I haven't gone very far at all with anything I need to be doing. I've had places I'm staying that didn't work out. I haven't been able to see my kids at all. There was a no contact order issued between me and Brad, which makes a lot of things impossible. Through all this, I've lost my full-time job. I've lost pretty much everything that I was doing is just all different. I don't know how to. I have a friend who's going to help me get a lawyer. Bruno being with Brad and Kadrian. I need outside help. This isn't working out at all. And it's just, I feel like it's just digging me a deeper hole. I don't even know what to say. I haven't even seen Joss in so long. My other daughter. I don't feel like I'm not even saying the right stuff right now that I need to be saying that's most important. I even went as far as to I don't know. Bruno's really depressed. Every time I talk to him, he's miserable. He can't talk. I've gotten maybe 10 minutes at a longest phone call. I don't ever have video chat. I never know where Bruno is between Brad and Cadron. Cadron says that Bruno's not in a good place being with him. It's been torture, all these things that are opposite to what I'm hearing in court. They don't say anything against each other, but outside of court, it's completely different. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of things said about me after I'm done talking for saying that. I feel completely isolated from everything. I've been in my kids' lives for 10 years straight. And this isn't going well. I haven't even met with Sherry personally. I've talked to her on Zoom once. She's just heard what Brad said. Brad currently has an open CPS case for Sam got going. The kids aren't as happy as he makes it seem. Both of them have gone to the hospital for emergency. They're saying they were suicidal. Sam ran down and had called and had committed herself to the hospital. He drinks a 6-pack a day of alcohol. He's an alcoholic. That's worse. I mean, I have records of him, us having to call the police for him harassing the family. There's, court paperwork from us having our no contact order before. Declarations where, everything's completely. I have like 9 declarations from people stating character. I've never had the cops called on me in our home. I don't even know where to start with all this. And the court's just going worse and worse. I even went as far as to tell the other judge he had a smirk on his face. Like, not doing good at this at all. I'm hoping this lawyer will help so I can have somebody advocate for me. And it's like I'm not even going towards resources like I should be. I'm just feel like I'm frozen. I just miss my kids, and I don't want to have me and Brad have a relationship just to have a relationship with my kids. This isn't even about me being a danger to the family, which I've never been. This is more about controlling me and having me commit or submit to and come home. I've been asked to come home so many times, and every time I disagree, court just goes uglier. I'm not willing to come home to have the same type of fights in front of our children. The last thing in the world I want to do is for them to hear one more fight and vile things said. And my son should be with me. I didn't even mean for him to be left at the house. I had 6 days till court, and I missed a court hearing in September. And then I went to the next one, and things were already approved. I didn't even realize I missed a court date. And I've just been, I don't even know, lost ever since. I thought he was doing good. I'd call the school. I tried to go get him a couple times. They didn't send him to the office. Things aren't going according to, this wasn't even a plan. I never planned on being out of my home. The system was used against me, and I'm just out here not moving forward. I haven't even kept my counseling appointments like I meant to. I can have an assessment. They're not going to recommend treatment. I don't have, I've had treatment experience. I don't know. Thank you for letting me talk. Would have been cut off a long time ago by now. Usually. I don't know how to move forward with this without. I don't know how to move forward with this. I've done CPS before, but I've never done court like this. And I even missed court on purpose last time. I couldn't do it. And the time before that, I couldn't even unmute it.
So, Your Honor, I'd like to just add a couple things so that you have a broader picture. So Ms. Kroll and Mr. Peters were residing together. They have another child together. And that's when Ms. Kroll, there was some issues between the two. There is some drug issues. And Ms. Kroll left the home about a year ago, and Mr. Peters has had Bruno since.
That's not true. Bruno was with me. Bruno was with me. And he wanted to go home. He was failing to thrive. He wasn't wanting to eat. He wasn't wanting to sleep. He wasn't wanting to take a shower or anything at anybody else's homes. I was having to find places to stay because I was kicked out of my home while I was at work. I was served. Bruno would stay with me at the hotel while I was working. Luckily, they would let me. I only sent him home because I had 6 days till court, and he really missed his sisters and he missed his dad. And when it didn't get approved, it was really hard to get him back out of the house. And last time I tried getting my son out of the house, Brad actually called the police, making a huge scene like I was kidnapping my son. He made a huge scene until I agreed to stay, and then he hung up the phone. There's a lot more going on than just mom has a drug problem. Mom tried to fake a UA, and it made it look really bad. I had weed and alcohol in my system, and I'm pregnant. So did it do me any good? No. Did I get caught? Yes, which is what happens every time I try doing anything like that. I haven't done anything to prove otherwise.
So,
yeah, Ms. Kroll, thank you.
So
thank you for that input. Go ahead, Ms. Farr.
Yeah, so the court had ordered a UA, and Ms. Kroll is being honest. She did try to fake it, and so that counts as a positive, and there hasn't been any attempts for a UA since that I'm aware of. Her and I did have one Zoom. We had scheduled follow-ups, but we haven't had any follow-ups. And so, I only have some initial information from her. What I do have, the information that I do have, it has been provided by Mr. Peters and and Ms. Cutbirth. So, this is a guardianship matter. It's not a dependency case. There's no resources offered to parents in these cases. And so, it's just not going to be what Ms. Kroll expects. And that it is unfortunate that there are no resources to get parents help, but that's just the way these cases go. So we're in a situation now where we have to get an emergency guardian appointed so that there is authority for someone to make healthcare decisions and keep this child safe from harm and provide for this child until we get further into this investigation.
Bruno had a meltdown, and Brad sent him to the emergency room to be evaluated for suicide like an adult. These are the type of decisions I don't want to make for my son. And they put him on medication without telling me anything about it.
Mr. Peters. Yeah, so I want to make sure we have I apologize. I just want to make sure we have an orderly discussion.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I just want to make sure that, when one person finishes, that they feel like they've finished. And so I think Ms. Farr had a few things to finish. She was just finishing up.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and finish up, Ms. Farr?
Yeah.
And so that is true. Bruno has gone to the emergency room, and it was the appropriate thing to do. He was in a mental health crisis. The mental health crisis team was called, and he received the treatment that he needed. It got him started to get some mental health care. So Mr. Peters is the one that initiated that.
Brad was drinking and got him riled up.
So Ms. Kroll,
at this time, we just need to get the emergency guardian appointed, and that would be Mr. Peters. Mm-hmm. And then this investigation will continue. I will be in touch with Ms. Kroll, and Ms. Kroll needs to get her UA completed and comply with the court's orders before visitation could be put in place.
That UA place said that they would, if the courts were willing to cover the cost, they have to email them or get in touch with them. That was an option too. Otherwise, I'd pay the $60 and it's $80 to be watched, like the watch UA, or $60 just to go in. It's just really expensive for me.
And that's what I was saying with Kroll. Unfortunately, these cases don't have the ability to provide resources to parents. These are tasks that the parents have to take on themselves to improve themselves, to show that they can parent.
Okay. All right. Thank you both. I appreciate that input. Mr. Peters, you wanted to make a brief comment?
I'm not gonna sit and defend myself on any of these allegations. My 17-year-old daughter, who I've had custody of for over 11 years, I got custody of her from Oregon and brought her here. And She has been suffering from anxiety and depression from other things, from a boyfriend, from her boyfriend breaking up with her after prom, that sort of thing. And she has received the right treatment for that as well as Brunswick did. So moving on from that, there hasn't been, I don't know what she's saying about trying to contact Bruno, because yesterday was the first time she's called him in a month. And that is not good for him. That's what's really not good for him. This in and out, never knows where mom's at. Nobody knows where she's at. Nobody knows what she's doing because she doesn't think she has to check in or be responsible. And we are responsible for our own lives and what we're doing. And these children don't have a choice.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Peters. Ms. Cutbirth, do you have any input?
Yeah, I would just say that Bruno is being taken care of. He does have special needs, and I wouldn't think that it's fair to say that he's miserable or depressed. He is. Miss Shira said that, she can't talk to him. She talked to him yesterday for 10 minutes on the phone. I felt like 10 minutes was appropriate because she hadn't talked to him in over a month.
It has not been a month.
Excuse me, I'm talking. It has been over a month. She's missed every phone call for a long time. Also, I'm just saying that I felt like 10 minutes was appropriate. He did get privacy. He was able to go into his bedroom, or he chose to go sit on the landing at the top of our stairs, which is totally fine too. And when she did speak with him, or when she does speak with him, she's only getting snippets of how it's going, because she's not communicating with other people to find out how he's doing. She's just talking to him. So she gets, I'm upset. He's an 11-year-old boy who hasn't seen his mom in over a year, or not over a year, but hasn't seen her in a long time. And I just feel like that's not really giving her the whole picture. Yesterday when she spoke with him, he was at my house taking a break because he was having a hard time with his dad. And I thought that getting him over to my house, where I have a trampoline and a pool and things for him to do, kids for him to play with, would be a good time for him. Kind of get him out of that. He had gotten in trouble and not in trouble, but a consequence where he wasn't allowed to play a system, and that upset him. And so he chose to act out. Me and Brad have initiated a lot of different ways to help Bruno manage.
I apologize. Just so you're aware, Ms. Kroll, we're in court, and if we were in court, you wouldn't be able to smoke a cigarette. So I'd ask that you extinguish your cigarette. Thank you. And then Ms. Cutbirth, do you have any additional comments just related to the appointment of the emergency guardian, anything related to that, any additional items?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I just think that Brad's a good candidate. Bruno was originally left with him anyways, and I stepped up to help Brad because Brad wasn't really entirely sure how to go about starting the process. I helped him get the process started, and we just decided that him staying with Brad is the best option, and we're working together to kind of support Bruno in the best way that we know how. And I feel like so far we're doing a pretty good job considering the circumstances.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I appreciate hearing from each of the parties related to Bruno and his well-being, and really that's kind of the focus here. And I think Ms. Farr kind of touched upon that issue, is that we want to make sure that children are safe and well and protected. And often it's not uncommon that parents struggle, and the struggle is very challenging and difficult. And it sounds like Ms. Kroll has experienced numerous factors that are really challenging, including homelessness, and then the pregnancy, and then the fake UA, and then the alcohol and the marijuana, and not following through on some appointments. And so there's a lot of factors, a lot of things that she's working on and working through. And so while she's working through that, we need to make sure that Bruno, which I love his name, it's a cool name, needs to be taken care of. And at this point, I think given the information that I've heard, is that there needs to be some immediate protection for him while Ms. Kroll works and makes some improvements. And obviously, as she makes those improvements, the need for that safety diminishes because she's in a better place. She's in a better spot to be able to provide that care to Bruno. So I'm going to grant the request for the appointment of the emergency guardian, and appoint him as Mr. Peters as a guardian.
Can there be stipulations like he's not? They're making major choices that I'm not involved in at all. Nobody would have even told me at all about
Your
it.
Honor,
And I'm being treated. I'm talking.
So hold on, Mr. Peters. Yeah, we take turns.
I'm being treated like I don't deserve to know, and I know my son. This isn't just me. Listen, when he tells me he's not doing or whatever, or he tells me a situation where he's complaining about an adult, I question him and I break it down and I evaluate. I could tell when he's just pulling it over. I could tell when he's serious, and every single time I talk to him, and it's not been a month. Court just happened. He's just completely flat. Like it's just.
So you were talking about that you wanted some stipulations regarding input regarding medical care, things of that nature.
Yeah, if Jocelyn was to have a breakdown and say she wanted to hurt herself, she sure the heck wouldn't be sent to the emergency room like an adult, and have. Okay. I've seen the way Brad acts around him like that. And it makes it worse. It's like they're trying to make him seem crazier than he is. Brad is interested in the income he'll be receiving for Social Security for his dad, and Social Security because of his mental health and how it would help the household income. That's not what this is about. And I have another avenue I was thinking about as far as a caregiver for him, somebody that he knows. And if we could set the court date over, I'm even contemplating just I really need to talk to this lawyer.
Yeah, and I think you're on the right track, Ms. Kroll. Is that
or if he can just there's not any major decisions made, if we can hold it over.
So I'm granting the order, I'm granting the relief, and then I think it's important to note what you just said, Ms. Kroll, and what Ms. Farr said is that the investigation continues. This is not a static case. People change, people make improvements, and as you make improvements and you get counsel, and the case is moving forward, and it can certainly go in many different directions. And that's the hope, is that the well-being of Bruno is safeguarded and preserved. That's the hope. And so it's not static. You'll have continued opportunity to have input. So having granted that the request, I was just looking at in the case file, and maybe Ms. Farr, you could help me identify this as far as the order appointing guardian and the like. Were any of those proposed orders filed? I see a proposed residential schedule for guardianship, but is that the only order? I'm fairly new to this.
No, Your Honor, there wasn't, as far as I know, there was not an order presented to you. Mr. Peters could probably get that down to the court and have it entered ex parte by tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I do have it. It's a proposed residential schedule, so that Mr. Peters did file that. So I think that's the one that I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's different than the emergency order.
Okay, so I need an emergency order.
Before I get started and I first want to make sure that I get out all the undercoat. I do something called DOC.
Sorry. So I need an emergency order appointing.
So
Go ahead, Ms. Farr.
Appointing the emergency guardian, we could get that down to you by tomorrow to have entered. And in that, there are some options where I believe, I'm not looking at the order in front of me, but I believe there's some options where mother can have access to records. I don't think at this time decision-making should be appropriate, given the fact that we don't have current, we haven't had a UA or anything to show that mother can make appropriate decisions.
And can he be being UA'd for alcohol? Because it's not appropriate. He's drinking as much as he is around the kids. He doesn't handle it well, and he overreacts.
Your Honor, with all due respect to myself, I don't have an active warrant for my arrest right now.
That's nothing to do with your alcohol.
Oh, wait. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Ms. Farr, do you have any concerns related to Mr. Peters and alcohol consumption in care of Bruno?
This is the first allegation I've heard about alcohol consumption, so I will look into that as the standard case goes forward.
Okay, so that sounds good. I'm glad the issue was raised. Ms. Kroll's concerns can be addressed related to that. So I will sign off on the order that's coming my way related to the appointment of the emergency guardian, and then the residential schedule for the guardianship. I will sign off on that also, and that will get filed. So as far as a future court hearing, Ms. Farr, do you have a proposed time frame?
For the standard investigation, I would say we probably could set a review out for a month. That should give me some time to do some investigating on the CPS allegations, the alcohol allegations, and then give mom time to get that UA done.
Okay. All right. I think that sounds appropriate. So we'll set the matter over to August 24th at 10:30, and just confirming, Mr. Peters and Ms. Kroll, you're available on August 24th at 10:30.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
This is going by. I haven't seen my kids physically in so long.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
if
I'm
I
going to
get
hold
a
off.
UA
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
And the judge had ruled that we have 2 phone calls a week. He never said exact times or anything like. I get that routine and scheduling is important, but being able to talk to your mom is really important too. And I really am struggling with depression. It's really hard for me to want to even move some days. Like it's a lot on top of postpartum or depression. And it's, I call an hour later or whatever it is, or the kids don't even want to be on the phone. He doesn't like the phone. It's awkward. They don't know what to do. And seeing me on Zoom makes it harder. It hurts them. It's hard to call. I just feel like I'm breaking their heart every time.
Okay.
And it's weird. I spent every single day with them for 10 years. Never once, like one night, overnight, not, and then to nothing. And having a restraining order from my home and my family for no reason. It's not what we're talking about right now.
Okay. So there's Ms. Kroll's expressing a lot of concerns related to the contact and the like. And in a way, the way I'm looking at this is that we need to keep the horse in front of the cart. And the horse, obviously, in this case, is making sure that Ms. Kroll is engaging in services and taking the UA, being evaluated for the SUD and also for any mental health concerns, and then getting treatment and support, because nobody gets through this life without that support. So that's where we're getting at this point. So I'm going to hold off on making any specific provisions for phone calls. Obviously, if the parties want to agree to something, then they can, but I'm going to hold off on ordering that. So we will see everybody on the 24th.
One more thing.
We're complete.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We'll see everybody on the 24th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Let's see. All right, Caden, let's see. We've got Justin Homer. Justin, are you there?
Yeah, Justin and Jennifer.
Justin and Jennifer. Okay, great. All right. Welcome. And then I see Jennifer Powers, correct? Is that you, Miss Powers?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Welcome. All right. And so we're here today. It looks like, let me just first, maybe we could start with Miss Powers. You could state your position and why you're here and what you're seeking. So if you could just lead off, please.
Thanks, Your Honor. We're here today because this child is receiving TANF benefits. My understanding in reviewing the file is it looks like all the parties are in agreement with guardianship. The child started receiving TANF on June 30th, at which point the state had an interest in the child support for that child, as it's the parent's duty, not the state's duty, to support the child. Given the TANF status, we entered our notice of appearance and response, and we proposed child support. We did not mail out our proposed child support until July 11th, so I don't know if the parties want additional time to review it. I am prepared to go forward today, but I wanted to be transparent about the timing of those pleadings.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Powers. So what Ms. Powers was discussing, it looks like it's a 25-page document or a grouping of documents that's entitled Proposed Orders relating to a child support order, which is looks like a 8 or 9 page document, and then also a child support order. And then it looks like there's also worksheets, which are a series of a table or a graph. So Mr. Homer and Ms. Homer, did you receive copies of those documents?
Yes, we did.
You did. Okay, great. And Ms. Powers, did you receive copies of those documents?
Yes, I was able to review them last night. I was out of town for 5 days, so I did review them last night.
Okay, great. All right, thank you all for confirming that. So, Ms. Powers, with that having been reviewed, then you're seeking the relief requested in those documents of the child support payment. I think it was $486 a month.
We're seeking $486 from the father and $281 from the mother. This is kind of an odd situation because the statutes require both parties to support the child. In this particular situation, both parents reside together. Generally, when we're having a minor guardianship situation, the parents reside separately, and so the transfer payment is impacting 2 separate households instead of 2 separate transfer payments impacting 1 household. So I also wanted to point that out to the court. But what we did is we imputed the father at net median. He has a history of being self-employed, so we did not have really any good gauge to guess what his income is. So we used the net median. For the mother, according to employment security data, she's worked minimal hours for the father's company. And I just averaged her hourly wage over the last 3 years of employment security data. It showed an average of $19.35 an hour. We imputed her at 35 hours per week. Our office policy is to count full-time as 35 hours instead of 40 hours. That resulted in a net income from the mother of $2,941, from the father of $5,102. The parents have 2 other minor children in their household, so I also applied a whole family deviation. That would result in a transfer payment from the father of $486 and from the mother of $281. That's a total of $767 a month coming out of their household. Since TANF began June 30th, we're asking the child support begin July 1st.
Thank you, Ms. Powers. Appreciate that. All right, Mr. Homer, what's your vantage point?
Yesterday, I submitted a declaration to the court and sealed financial documents.
Let's see if I have that. The most recent pleading received was filed on July 12th. So I don't know. I haven't reviewed that. And if, did you serve a copy on Ms. Powers?
The clerk there said everybody was being served. So I didn't know if I was supposed to go serve them myself or if somebody was appointed to do that.
Yeah. Our office has not received a copy.
Yeah, generally, Mr. Homer, the onus or the responsibility for serving papers on another party lies upon the person who's filing the paper. So if you're filing a document that you want the court to review, then you'd need to provide a copy to other interested parties. So it sounds like that has important information, at least for me to make a decision. And for Ms. Powers, maybe she might reconsider her position based on the information you've provided. She might not. So it would be good to be able everyone to review that, including myself. So since I don't have it yet and Ms. Powers doesn't have it yet, probably it would be wise to set it over a period of times to allow everyone to review it, to come back and meet and share everybody's vantage point.
Okay.
So do you have any concerns if we look at maybe either a 1 or 2 week time frame, setting it over to allow everybody to digest and share information?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I would ask that we go 2 weeks because if I reconsider my position, I'd like to get out amended proposed worksheets.
Does August 3rd, that's a Thursday at 10:30. How does that look for you, the Homer schedule?
That should be fine.
Okay. And Ms. Powers, it sounds like that'd work okay for you.
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Jen Powers, sorry. I just realized that. Sorry.
Yes, that works fine.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thanks for being patient. So August 3rd, we will have the opportunity to review Mr. Homer's financial family declaration, and all the other parties will also. So Mr. Homer, if you can make sure that you serve a copy on Ms. Powers. So I know a lot of parties sometimes are amenable to service via email, so the two of you could talk and work out an arrangement. So
you can just put it into a PDF file and serve it that way.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And I have just typed my email address into the chat.
So do I need to put my email in there as well?
That would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
And I'll leave the Zoom up for a little bit because I don't want to make people feel like they're rushed and like, oh shoot, I didn't get that email written down. Mr. Homer, did you get those two email addresses jotted down?
We got the first one. We're writing the second one now.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, great. All right. We appreciate you sending that out to the other parties, and then we will come back on August 3rd at 10:30 to look at the issue of child support.
Okay.
All right. Any questions before we break?
Nope.
So are we only doing the child support order right now, or are we doing the order for minor guardianship?
So let's see. I think probably both will be reviewed. Let me just double check. So looking at the case, there's a petition to appoint, and then also looks like there's consent that's been filed by Jennifer Peterson and Justin Homer. And so it looks like, as far as that goes, it looks like there's no objection, if I understand correctly. Mr. Homer, your position is that you're consenting to the appointment of a guardian?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
So when we filled out the petition or signed that we had read the petition, it shows on page 10, item 23, the children have right to child support, including medical support from the legal parents according to state law. I asked the court to order the parents to no request is what was checked. So we're wondering why this is all of a sudden done a 180.
Yeah, that's a great question. My understanding, Ms. Amy Powers could provide additional input, is that starting on June 30th, the child started receiving some type of state benefits. And because the state has an interest in benefits outflowing, her client is asking her to seek some support for the child. Ms. Powers, is that close?
That is close. Jennifer Powers is not the one seeking child support. When the child went on TANF, the custodian of the child assigns their right to receive child support to the state of Washington. The law requires the state of Washington to seek reimbursement from the parents with the goal that the parents provide the financial support instead of the state. So when the child went on TANF, it triggered the state of Washington's obligation to seek support from the parents.
So we received adoption support for Caden
through the state.
Through the state. So I'm wondering why, you know what I mean? We're going the wrong way with this.
This has been an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, those are good questions and sympathetic reaction to the difficulties that litigation causes. So I don't have a good answer for you as far as adoption support and then the state seeking child support for the child. I think Ms. Powers provided a nice summary, at least from her vantage point, of why the state's seeking the support. But the combination between that and the adoption support, I'm not up to speed on that, so I can't answer that.
So on the future court date, will we be able to discuss more in depth, I guess? Because everything the state the numbers the state was going off of was basically 2019 when our business was, booming. Jen was working, and Jen has since had to quit her job to work for the nursery for free, just to keep us afloat. So, I mean,
definitely
about something that's going to be in the future, but is there anything else we need to bring to that future court date?
Yeah, we will definitely be able to discuss it more at that time, and especially relevant are the documents that you filed, I think, yesterday, the family financial status and the like. That's going to provide a lot of new information, it sounds like, because you said it sounds like it's new as opposed to 2019 figures, and that will allow us to make a determination of what's an appropriate amount. It may be a lot less than what the state is seeking based on your current financial situation.
Okay. So one of the things I submitted was, the last 3 years of the P&L, one of the problems is we file an extension for our taxes. So I don't have 2020 or 2022 complete yet. I mean, I have the income side of it, which is dramatically lower than the 2 years prior, but I don't have the full expenses worked out because we don't actually do our taxes until the end of September. Just because we're an online nursery and we still have orders pending and whatnot. So we have to file an extension each year. So it's basically just going off of my P&L. Like I said, that's already been submitted. I don't know why you don't have it in front of you yet, but it was done yesterday.
Yeah, it takes a while for the processing. Yeah, when the clerks get it, there's multiple steps that has to take place. And so unfortunately, things just aren't uploaded yet at this point. Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about all those issues and related to the incomes and diminished incomes and the like, and we'll hopefully make a fair decision on that when we see each other on the 3rd of August.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate the input. Hang in there. We'll see everybody on August 3rd.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.